We'd like to welcome Evans Conforti to a meeting with the Naples Daily News Editorial Board. Evans is running for re-election to the Bonita Springs Fire District. Welcome, Evans.
Thank you.
Can you take the first minute and a half or 2 minutes here and tell us about your background in terms of service in your background?
Okay. I've been in public service probably most of my adult life. I spent 17 years as a volunteer firefighter on Long Island. I was a police officer for 22 years in Nassau County in New York. And I've been on the fire board for 16 years. So my background is been in that type of public service, and I enjoy doing those type of things, and I feel I give back to the community by doing this.
When did you move to Bonita Springs?
1997.
So doing the quick math, you've been on the board most of that time?
16, yeah, I've been down here 17 years.
What's you working now? Where you're working?
Well, I
at?
currently work at Editorial, which is a gated community here in North Naples, and I'm a day shift supervisor in security.
And when you first moved to Bonita and you almost immediately went on the fire board, what was it that drew you to want to serve on the fire board?
Well, honestly, I read an article in the Bonita Banner, and it said that the current commissioners at the time wouldn't speak to any of the firefighters, wouldn't discuss anything with them, and they were wishing that some other residents would get involved in the district. And I just decided on that, after reading that I would enter and campaign to get elected.
What was going on then that they didn't want to talk to anybody?
Well, mostly salary, those kind of things, work conditions. You know, that was their biggest concern, and their real concern was they didn't want someone that would always yes them, but would at least listen to their needs.
Have you had an election challenger before? I don't remember. If
Yeah, I have.
You have.
Yeah, I did 4 years ago. I think only one time that I didn't have a challenge.
What do you think the reason is that you've drawn a challenge this time?
Well, honestly, I think that I'm doing a good job, so I have a difficult time understanding why someone is running against me. I think that over the past 4 years we've done quite a bit to reduce costs, and we've had a reduction in benefits also by reducing pensions. Before there was, because of the way laws were written, we were forced to give extra benefit in pensions because of insurance. When you paid your insurance, money was sent back to the district, homeowners insurance I should add. Money would go back to the district. That money could only be used for benefits. They were able to pass some legislation which was called stop-start, where they stopped putting that money in there. So all of our new people coming on, they can only get a max of 3% into their pension. Before that, it could go beyond that. And our firefighters actually have not had a raise, and this is their first raise in almost 7 years. And they also pay 2% more in their pension than they did 7 years ago, and also pay 2% into a retirement health insurance fund. So
Were those board decisions, or was that state legislature that
those were board decisions that we negotiated with the firefighters over the past several years to improve, actually benefit the district. It was a big benefit to the district.
What are the issues these days then?
Well, I think the biggest issue is getting ambulance transport for the district. We've been fighting with the county for at least 4 years now, and it's a matter of getting a certificate of necessity for our district to have our own ambulance service. We're more than willing to put 4 ambulances in Bonita, and the county has stonewalled us at every turn.
How many ambulances does the county have there now?
2.5. One is a 12-hour and 2 24-hour ambulances.
The 4 you would put in would be in addition to those, or would you anticipate them pulling out?
If they wanted to leave any in there, that would be fine with us, but I think the 4 would be sufficient at this point and they would be able to move those ambulances to where they have more need.
From different races, and in one case of one race in Bonita Springs, we've heard candidates say that running EMS is a money loser. So could you address that? And then also, one of the other candidates has said they think that ought to be a service provided to Bonita without charging for it. So could you address both of those issues?
Okay. Well, certainly if you did it at no cost, I don't know that you would. I feel you probably could still do it without really being a money loser. We already have the manpower, and it would be a matter of the purchase of the new ambulances, which we would put a 3-man ambulance on each one, which would eliminate response by a truck to those instances. I don't think we would lose money on it one way or the other. As far as not charging, I grew up under a system where people were not charged for ambulance service. I know that most insurance companies will pay for that service, and I think it's a big thing for Lee County. I think they look to that to support their EMS service. I don't know that we would really need it. Maybe we could do without it.
So you would be in favor of at least looking at an ambulance service where the person being transported does not have to pay a fee?
I would absolutely be willing to look at that.
When an ambulance goes off with 3 people to a medical emergency and then an actual fire breaks out, what do they have to physically go back to the fire station and get a fire truck and go?
Well,
how does that work?
From what I understand, these new ambulances would be a combination type of a unit. So, of course, if they're on a medical call, they're not going to respond to that fire. But we would have other units.
But they might be out and about, having just gone to or something,
Yes.
on the way back or something.
They would be able to respond just the way they are.
Okay.
And then another crew would take the truck. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So, certainly, if you have a fire that requires more than 3 people, it would be response from other apparatus.
Can you talk a little bit about what your feelings are as far as consolidation? As you know, Collier County is definitely in the midst of that right now, and it's going to be up to the voters. But how do you feel Bonita's role in that is, especially if those four districts merge? Do you think that'll kind of urge your fellow commissioners and other districts in Lee County to kind of move forward towards that?
We've had consolidation talks in the past with Estero and San Carlos Park, and it's very difficult to get together as far as millage rates and things like that go. Mm-hmm. And I see less benefit for Bonita in those instances because we're pretty stable. We have very low debt, and our millage rate, I believe, is in a reasonable area right now that the taxpayers in Bonita get a good bang for their buck.
What is the mills right now?
It's 2.38.
Okay. I mean, I guess to go on with that question, what would would you be a proponent for consolidation or then against?
Currently, I'm not a proponent of consolidation. I just, I would have to see where it totally benefits Bonita Springs.
Okay.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the working relationship you have with the chief and also with the firefighters, good relationship?
Well, I think I have a very good relationship with the entire department. I'm able to go into the chief at any time and discuss anything I see as a problem, and he responds accordingly. I've had a good relationship with all of them over the last 16 years, so it's not like I'm just breaking into it. Mm-hmm. They understand where I'm coming from, and there are times when we're not going to agree, and they understand that.
What are some instances you can think of where you didn't agree with the chief? Or
Well, recently, no, but going back, I had some instances where I didn't agree with the way the chief was handling some situations, and I went in and told him about it. You know, way back, we started, we were one of the first departments to start getting involved with the USAR teams, the Urban Search and Rescue. The Southwest Florida Urban Search and Rescue started pretty much from one of our assistant chiefs in Bonita and went from there. And there was an instance where the Urban Search and Rescue team was going to be sent out. We have men in our department that are in it. The chief didn't want to send certain guys, and I said to him, "You can't be part of a team and not send some of your men out." And he changed. He went and sent those men. So, you know, there's very few times where I have real disagreements with them. They do a pretty good job of running the department, and I tend to allow them to do their job.
There's a candidate in one of the races who says there's too much of a rubber stamp going on the board for what the department does. You agree or disagree with that?
Well, I don't know what they call a rubber stamp. When you're outvoted many times 4-1, I tend to think you're the one that's not seeing what everybody else sees.
Is that often the case with you? That you're the lone dissenter?
Not I.
Oh, not oh, okay.
No.
Not
okay.
I.
Got it. Okay.
There are others on the board who
Got it.
tend to disagree with almost. Well, like I say, if you got 90% of the time when you have a disagreement, it's the same one person that disagrees.
Oh, okay.
I tend to believe that person is the wrong one.
Okay. Gotcha. Would you say? Oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. Oh, thank you, Alan. Going back a little bit to, you did mention earlier that they're getting their I believe it was 3% raise.
Yes.
For the first time in 7 years. I mean, even after that raise, do you think they're still being paid what they should, or should it be even increased a little bit more to compete with other districts, so you're not losing them to, you know, other departments or even other parts of the?
That's a good point, because when I first got on the board, we were losing personnel on a monthly basis because other districts were paying substantially more than Bonita Springs was.
Really?
I think we're very competitive right now,
Okay.
and I think when you see, if you go and ask the firefighters, they think they're being treated fairly.
Okay.
One of the other things we've heard about in doing these interviews is firefighters getting 9 weeks of vacation. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's very difficult to compare someone that works around the clock, 24-hour shifts, and works the equivalent of a 56-hour week. So when you say they get, all that time off, I don't agree that it's extensive. In fact, it's less than some other local districts.
Why do you think I should vote for you as a Bonita Springs resident versus your opponent?
Well, I just feel that I've done a fair job for the community and for the department. I don't think that you can just say, you know, if you have a 2.38 millage, that's too high. You have to consider everything. You have to consider the needs of the department. You have to consider the needs of the employees. Everything is a combination. You can't just take one little thing and say, you're way off base with this. It's a combination of everything. So I just feel that I do a good job of evaluating that, and I think I have in the past.
How's the department situated for growth towards the east?
Okay, towards the east, we do have a piece of property which is out at Vincent Road, which is probably about 3 miles out from the interstate. And we've had that property for several years. It's building like crazy out there, and I feel in a couple of years we're going to need to put a station up. I know I've had other commissioners think that we're out of line with the way we're doing that, our business, but again, when you have a 4-to-1 vote and 4 people think it's right and one person thinks it's wrong, I don't see where we're out of line. The same with the north end of Bonita Springs off Imperial. We've just purchased a piece of property at the end of Strike Lane up by Imperial. That property eventually will get a firehouse. It's going to need a firehouse. You can see by the growth out there that there's no way you can get to those homes inside gated communities quickly enough without having fire stations
So
in those
with
areas.
the property in hand, is money being set aside to build those stations in a few years?
We have a, well, one thing is you should be able to build those stations with impact fees. Okay? Hopefully, those houses that are being built are going to generate income. And yes, we still have a fund put aside to add to that.
You wouldn't close any of the existing stations down?
You know, you really have to evaluate it all when you see the entire growth, but I don't think any of the existing stations are going to be able to close. I think the way it's growing, that the responses are going to be, you know, necessary from those other outlying stations. And I will also add that the Lover's Key area certainly needs some type of coverage. It's 8 or 9 minutes from our closest station. And several years ago, I went to Tallahassee and met with the head of the parks there in an attempt to just get a room in a building there where we could put a small 2-man response truck, and they out and out refused us. They told us they wouldn't let anybody into the park. So, you know,
What building do they even have up there? What building?
well, we were willing to add on. They were putting up a like a shop. We were willing to put a room onto the end of that building where we could put 2 men in. This is several years ago. And they out and out refused us. They would not let us into the park. They said it was a state park and couldn't allow that. So I feel that emergency response is a little different than just moving in there to, you know, to sell popcorn.
Equipment-wise, the district's okay in terms of ladder trucks and et cetera for high rises?
Yeah, currently we have sufficient, and we have mutual aid response. If we need more than one ladder truck, we have Estero to the north, and we have North Naples to the south.
Well, that was quick, but we've hit our 19 and a half minute mark here. Do you have any final ideas, additions, comments you want to make to the voters out there?
Well, just to say that I feel that I've done a good job for this department, and I would like to be reelected.